Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Madcapper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to go travel back to the Ultra Nightmare clan boss, and I want to show you my version of composition originally coined by Murderlnc about a month and a half ago, maybe a month ago. We're going to put a link in the description down below. I want you to go check that out because Murderlnc is the one who created this comp, who did a video on it. This is his. But what I wanted to show you is two things. First of all, I don't recall him saying that it worked for both Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare, which it does. No setup changes required, no gear changes required. The second thing I want to let you know is a lot of people look at Murderlnc's videos and some of his endgame stuff and they say, there's no way I can do that, Murder. That's ridiculous. I can't do those levels. I don't have your gear. Well, I don't have his gear and I can do it. I have 5 million power. He has 14.5 million power. And yet I was still able to do it. And let me give you a little snippet of this right here. That is on Spirit Affinity, my one key Ultra Nightmare clan boss with that composition of Cernic, Dracomorph, Mashulid, Rashkard the Tower, and Doom Priest. As you've probably guessed, it is an unkillable comp and it is a 2-to-1 comp. You can tell that because of course Cernic, Rashkard the Tower, and the 2-to-1 speed boost that you get from Mashulid. I am sure the same comp could probably be rigged for Seeker, but I didn't do it, so too bad. We're going to go through this comp one by one. I'm going to try to keep it as succinct as possible, which is probably improbable for me, but I did want to show you one more thing. And if I just make sure I choose the right file, which I never seem to do, boom. That is the same composition run just hours ago on Nightmare Clan Boss. This is the Spirit Affinity. The first one was both of them were Spirit Affinity. I will show you the setup on Magic Affinity as well in the video, but I wanted to show you the damages of these two different comps here, so you knew that you can easily. I mean, obviously this is an easy one key. This is flexing by this point because you only need 40 million, but it's flexing on Nightmare. But you figure run the key, whatever. And so you see the damage, you see the ability, and no joke, you can do it. You too can do it with my gear, and you'll see. There is potential. There's plenty of potential to get this even better. So let's talk about the champions here right now, and then I will show you the run that I did with the key and the setup for all affinities. We won't run through the whole key because it gets a little boring, but we'll start. So let's go to the champions, and let's take a look at what we use. First of all, we use Cernic. You do see I have 2 Cernics. That is intentional. I mean, intentional as you can in pulling dupe champions. Actually, before I go that, let's talk about his skills for a second. This Cernic does not have his A2 booked. If his A2 is booked, you have to manual the run or manual it long enough so that he's losing full health when he's getting hit. The problem is as he gains health, there's a threshold, and whatever that imaginary Plarium threshold is, he starts prioritizing his A2 over his A3. So you are playing with fire between his continuous heals and your Doom Priest's heals. So I don't think it is possible to do outside of manual with this comp with that thing booked. So if you have a Cernic, my suggestion, if you want to do this composition, don't book them. The other thing people ask all the time is, can I use 2 Rashkards? The answer is no. At this time, Rashkard prioritizes his A3 only if there is not an unkillable comp already on him. If there is an unkillable buff on him, or sorry, a block damage buff on him, he will not use his own block damage. And there is one round, one turn where Cernic has a block damage on him and he uses his unkillable. That won't happen if you use 2 Rashkards. If you manual it, you can absolutely use 2. If you want to min-max keys every day, manual it. You get extra damage. You can force hits, things like Rashkard using his A1 and not worrying about his HP at all, just going full attack. You can do things like that. I highly recommend it, but for most of us, we don't want to manual the key. Obviously, this needs to be fully booked. We'll talk about his masteries here. This will be the same for most champions. The key here is I want this because he's losing health. I want this because I want him to have War Master, and I want this. And the importance of this is to get him above 25% HP so that when he gets hit, now this seems to be when they lose their HP as opposed to lose potential. So if he's only got 20% left of his HP and he gets hit to 1 HP, this seems not to proc. Whereas if he's got 30% HP, there's that 50-50 chance. And this, because we are cleansing stuns, we want everyone to have deterrence. Okay? As for his artifacts, the key here is his HP. The higher the better. This is not very high. You can go much higher. There's a lot of damage I'm leaving on the table right now. But I had to get his speed to 253. And I didn't want to ruin certain other champions' gear, especially champions in my arena. So this is what I had for now, and it works pretty well. Interesting to note, when I had him at 80k HP and much less crit damage, I was doing about the same damage. So it seems to me that around 30% crit damage and around 10k HP is a wash. In fact, a little bit better on the HP side. That's completely anecdotal, so take it as you will. The second champion we're going to talk about is Rashkard, the other of the Unkillable ilk, and his masteries are the same. Now, you will see that I do not have him with Grim Resolve. That is because in the previous comp I used him in, he did not lose HP. Now he does, so I will change it at some point, just low priority. Other than that, it is identical to what I had with my Rashkard or with my Cernic. His skills, of course, the big thing is his A3 fully booked. I do have him fully booked, not necessary. And if you look here, his A1 is what you're going to hit the most with. It's what you're going to Retribution with. It's what you're going to hit on the 20% chance on stun. And it's what you're going to hit 2 out of 3 hits each cycle, because he's going to use his A1 twice, his A2 once, and of course his A3 once in a cycle. So you're going to want to have the attack prioritized, which is what the modifier is on his A1, over HP. Which is why manual is so cool, because I could use even less HP and always use A1, never use as A2 at all, and it would do me even better for damage. Okay, the next champion on the list, oh, sorry, and as an idiot, 253 we talked about for Cernic, non-negotiable. This 126 is negotiable. I believe I had him up to 228, but I don't know the exact threshold, so do go to Deadwood Jedi, link in the description below. Use his clan boss speed calculator to get your speeds, punch in everything you need to make sure that you're going to get those turn order to a proper 2-to-1 with Doom Priest first and no one out of Unkillable by turn 9. Okay. The next champion we're going to talk about is Draco. This is my damage dealer. This is the damage dealer. This is the best one of the bunch, the one you want to have. Because of the defense down weekend plus the poisons, 202 is the slowest he can go. I'm pretty sure he can go faster and still keep in tune, but any slower he breaks tune. And as you see here, 202 speed, like I said, 4,700 attack, 238% crit damage at 100% crit rate. It is not where I want it to be. I am still working on this champ and pushing it further, especially this debuff accuracy. That 6-star banner eludes me. It eludes me with the kind of speed I need. I do have one 6-star banner, but it's got like 6 speed on it. And this one, of course, has 15 speed. So kind of a pain, kind of annoying, but he's doing the job. So I haven't really pushed hard on it, but at some point I'll definitely fix these up. As far as his masteries, we need to talk about his masteries. I'm an idiot because I thought this was important. It's not. Do not use this on Draco. It doesn't help him. And I'll show you why. This, of course, accuracy does. This should be self-explanatory. I use him in dungeons as well, so I did one of things like the first hit. But the big thing is he's losing health, so that and War Master. You could argue for Giant Slayer. That way he's generally useful everywhere. He'll still do amazing damage in the clan boss, whether or not he's got War Master or Helm Smasher. Not Giant Slayer, sorry. Helm Smasher. So I leave that up to you to test out. I use him in War Master. Try it out. I'm sure you'll do amazing damage either way. I have heard some people say he'll do more in Helm Smasher. Okay, let's talk about this. His skills, 2 debuffs. Places a weaken and a decreased defense. Places a 5% poison. There is no percentage modifier on this. Because there's no percentage modifier on this, what is an extra 5% of 100% going to do? Nothing. I failed. I failed at math and reading, apparently, because both of them tell me that that ability doesn't work. So, do not use this. Also, some of you may be thinking, but Capper, you could have used this. Do not use this in this specific comp. The reason is quite simple. If I extend debuffs, I run the risk of my poisons overstaying their welcome and Draco Marth not having any room to place his defense down on weaken. If that happens, you will be leaving a ton of damage on the table because all your champions are doing damage based on the fact of that reduced defense and that weaken. If you do not place those debuffs, all of your champions are going to hit for a lot less. The amount of poison you get for one extra tick, that 50,000, is not worth the $250,000 you're going to lose every round you hit without a defense down. So do not use Master Hexer if in this comp. The next champion we talk about is, of course, Mashulid. Now, he's the 2-to-1 pro. He is your Bay. He is the White Whale. He is the whatever you want to call him. As you can see, Masteries, like everyone else. By the way, I forgot to mention Draco. I will respec him to actually use the defense tree so that he can have this the same as everyone else. The reason why I haven't is simply because I need his accuracy until I get that better banner or re-gear him. So I figured I'll just leave it as it is for now. We'll gear him out once I get that better banner. So again, we have here, there's one solid difference about this, and that is I go with Heart of Glory. Mashulid puts 2 continuous heals on himself plus Life Drinker. This often gets him back up to full health for attacks. This happens more often than he attacks with less than 50% health. So this happens virtually never. This happens once every, I think it's 3 rounds. Maybe it's once every 4th attack, which means I'd rather get every 25% of his total attacks getting that extra than 0%. It's my preference. If you think you see it differently, go ahead and give him the other gear. It doesn't change anywhere else on the path. So that's just my 2 cents. This here, he does place a True Fear. So I wanted the chance to put another leech just in case the leech got resisted or whatever the case may be, more for arena than for this. The final thing I want to talk to about Mashulid is that in this particular comp, accuracy is not your friend. I do not want leech. I do not want block heals, and I do not want, well, you don't get True Fear, but I don't want those to land because they take up spots. It's unkillable. I don't need heals, so I've put an attack banner on him. I could easily put an accuracy banner on him, figure out the speeds. This is also a really good speed banner, but I could figure out the speeds and make this work. But for me, that leech is just a spot that is missing one of Draco's poisons. So don't do it. Don't bother. You're better off putting him in full attack and ignoring his accuracy for this comp. Obviously, if you're using him in the arena, when I take him to the arena, I switch banners and I use this. The last thing you need to know about him, 254 is non-negotiable. 253 Sir Nick, 254 Mashulid, non-negotiable. The final champion we're going to talk about is Doom Priest. And a few things. First of all, 189 is the absolute floor. In fact, 189 point whatever she's at right now is the absolute floor. Actually, I think it's 189 flat. I had this at 188 and it fails. 190, it's good. I don't know how high you can go on it, but I know I've had her at 189 and 190, and they both work. I've been slowly playing around with her. I'd steal some of her gear. Again, looks pretty familiar. It's the same as all the other champions. I do have her at full health because of a previous comp I was using her in. I will move her over here, but I'm not spending 150 gems for her. It's not really worth it to me. And I do have her in this resist thing, just I think because probably not a big deal. The big deal again is these two here, so you can get those extra hits whenever you can. She's going to cleanse, so her speed is very important. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that she can smack. She can do way more damage than people give her credit for. I have her in full crit rate, full crit damage gloves, so I get her crit damage pretty high, and I actually had it even higher for the key you saw. She did 6 million on weak affinity. I've had her do as much as 10 million. She actually did more damage than Rashkard on force affinity once. So keep that in mind, that she can hit harder than people give credit for. So if you're looking for that one key and you have Doom Priest in a defensive comp or whatever it may be for a typical support, switch it around. She hits for 100k on her A1 when debuffed, when the enemy's debuffed. So don't ignore her. That is the team. I believe I've gone through everything. If I didn't, let me know and I'll take snapshots. I'll post links and whatever I can. I always seem to forget something, so I apologize. We are now going to show you the setup on Magic Affinity. The best affinity for this comp is Spirit, because two of your damage dealers are spirit. Both Rashkard and Draco are magic, so that's strong affinity against spirit. But it doesn't matter. This works for all affinities, and you're going to do over, in this particular, as my gear is set up, over 60 million up to the 71.69 million, no matter what affinity you do. And pay special attention to what you have to do to make sure that your turn order stays correct. We talk about when to use Mashulid, Rashkard, and Sir Nick's abilities. So we're gonna switch over to that video, and then we're gonna finish this up. And hopefully you enjoy. Please subscribe, like it. At 1,000 subscriptions, I will be giving my free-to-play account away. So I hope you join me by subscribing to this video. And just, if for no other reason, just get me that 1,000. I give away an account. Everybody wins. All right, here's the setup. All right, so here we go. We're gonna step through how to set up the turn order when you're going to be able to get the 2-to-1 here. As you can see, I've already run 2 keys, pretty consistent damage. And on the 1 key, Nightmare, different affinities, doesn't matter. It works for all affinities, even Void. I don't hit Void anymore. I will only hit them when I feel I have a 1 key again, just to test it and get that as a video. But I do have 1 key on Spirit, which I showed you at the beginning of the video. So I just want to make sure I get it in all affinities. I'll maybe do a little montage video when I get there. But this has kind of been backburnered for so I built them. But I did want to get this video out, like I said. So let's go to Ultra Nightmare. We're going to run a 3rd key just so you guys can see what it can do, and so we can talk about setup. So I put Sir Nick as the lead. That is for the HP. That'll help his damage, and that'll help A2 damage on Rashkard. The only other thing you can do, and you may want to consider, is doing this. If you're Doom Priest, you want to run your Doom Priest slower for whatever reason, do know that you can calculate that 15% force ally speed aura, and that'll allow you to build her slower and still get her. She's only going to affect herself in this particular case, and it might be good on Void Affinity, because the Void clan boss should stun her, which is actually an easier setup than when it's stunning Nick. I haven't personally tried it, but in theory it should work. That said, get over to the Deadwood Jedi calculator. Make sure you're calculating the speed properly, because she is finicky. She does have to go first every round, or this composition doesn't work. So just keep that in mind, okay? We're going to run it like this because that's how we know and how we've had it built out. So the importance is right now. I mentioned it before. I might even cut that out. I'll mention it right here. This is the setup. Under normal circumstances, what you need is a 3-turn delay on Sir Nick, which means you'll be using his A3 on turn 4. Write that down. For Rashkard, it's a 1-turn delay, so you'll be using his A3 on turn 2. And for Mashulid, it's a 1-turn delay, so you'll be using his A2 and then subsequently his A3 on turn 2. Affinity comes into play. When it is magic affinity, the weak affinity is Mashulid. He will get stunned once and not cleanse. That means you have to speed up his turn order by 1, which means you're going to be using his A2 followed by his A3 on the first turn, which we'll be using right away here. On Void Affinity, assuming you have Sir Nick as your lead, Sir Nick will get stunned twice without it being cleansed. That means you have to speed up his A3 by 2 turns and use it after turn 1, so turn 2. When it is Force Affinity, you will either get stunned on Draco or on Rashkard. It depends on your total amount of HP, HP remaining, etc. My composition stuns Draco, so I don't need to make any changes. But if it does stun Rashkard for you, then you will need to delay his by 1 turn because he gets stunned once without cleanse. That means you'll be using it right away. As you can see, we're a magic affinity, so we're going to use Mashulid's 1 turn early. And that's because once he gets stunned once and it doesn't get cleansed, it'll put him in the proper turn order. As you can see here, we talked about the 2 continuous heals that are on Mashulid. That's why we gave him that 100%. He'll be full health more often than he's at below 50% health. So that's why we felt that was the better ability. We're going to use A2 on Sir Nick. We're going to use A2 on Rashkard. We're going to be using A3 to set up the cycle of weaken and defense down. And then we're going to attack up. And the clan boss is going to hit us. Now we're just using turn 1. We're going to use A1. Rashkard will be next. This is the 1 turn delay. So we're going to use his block damage. We're going to set up the poisons. 1 got resisted. You filthy, filthy, dirty animal. Look at that. 88,000. That's what I said. And she doesn't even have the best gear I've had on her. 88,000 on an A1 on a... Come on. Brah. Seriously. Everything else, we're just going to keep using it as it comes off a cooldown. Okay. This is turn 3. So not yet. If you are not too sure, you weren't a good counter. His first turn in round 2 is when you want to use his A3. So we're going to use his A1. Boom. So you can see everyone's got these on. This could be the attack down. This could be the speed debuff. A1. Cleanse. Attack. 43k. Obviously, there's no debuff. That'll not happen once we get to the 2-1. Now we're ready. We're going to hit this. We're going to hit auto. And as away we go. As you're going to see, we'll talk about it here. Boom, there's the stun. Is not getting cleansed. That's the only time it's going to happen. So now Mashulid, because he lost a turn on the cooldowns, is a turn off, as you can see now. Now he's in the proper turn order. And by round 9, everyone will be in the proper order. As you can see right now, Sir Nick is going ahead of Doom Priest. That'll change as soon as we get caught up to that turn 9, when everyone's going 2-1. Boom. Actually, turn 6, you notice how Doom Priest was ahead? That doesn't stay like that forever, but it does once we get everything into the proper turn order here. Right? And that one, oddly, Draco goes first. And that's just as everyone's piggybacking over and jumping over each other to try to get to these turn orders to the proper order. And you'll see right away here. This actually takes the longest to get into proper order. Now you see it's in proper order. Boom. Cleanse that stun. The reason why this takes a turn longer is because I'm using Mashulid's ability 1 turn early, which includes the speed boost. So it does mess with it a little bit. But after this, it's, as you can see now, it's all in the proper order. We're going to go 2-1.